Are you guys focused more on the business versus kind of just the personal, just general consumer side? And if so, how do you differentiate in your marketing? And then how do you decide which markets you guys are going to do that in? Because I know that you guys can do your business remotely. You could live in, Seattle, Washington, and you could manage Airbnbs on someone else's behalf in Miami, Florida. So what do you like better between that business and kind of consumer space? And then if you could answer kind of the second part of that as well.
Yeah, so I think it's really important, and this is something we talk a lot about in the BNB Bootcamp, especially for people that are brand new, is that you want to, Stephen Covey talks about in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you want to begin with the end in mind, right? So what that means is, well, there's a few different dynamics to that, but one of the things you want to think about is when you're getting into this business, what kind of guest and what kind of customer do you want to work with, and what kind of people do you want to attract?
Like what excites you, right? What gets you up in the morning? And I think that's a big thing. And that's part of, our coaching. Like the very first thing that we go through is like the ultimate scenarios. Like, what do you really want, right? Like what do you want to attract? And that's really huge. So when we're looking at this for us in our particular portfolio, we attract a lot of families, right? In our personal one. And we've done it for a few reasons of why, like particularly in our market, condos, it's very easy to actually get shut down in condos in our area due to HOAs, due to provincial legislation. There is a lot of condos that, don't get me wrong, but you can get shut down. So for us, the money is in more heads and beds, a lot of it, right? So more people. So we love bigger houses. We're in a house. We love like large kind of real estate. So that's what we wanted to build our portfolio around. We have other students that just do corporate housing and business travelers only, and only focus on 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and have corporate housing and specifically market towards that.
Yeah. So some students, and again, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It is purely dependent on what kind of vision do you have, what kind of business do you want to build, and what kind of client or guest do you want to cater towards. Some students, they want to go into apartment complexes, lease several units on the same floor, and just have like kind of more of a centralized business in that manner,
like only at downtowns or any kind of accessibility. And then other people don't even want to be at downtowns. They do unique properties, they do farm stays, they do tiny homes. We just had an interview with Jacob and Ivana. They are renting out their RV, right? Like there's a lot of different ways you can do this. So I think a big thing is just kind of really having that focus and idea, but also what we go through, with our coaching and training is we run the numbers, and we show you how to run the numbers, and you can make that, a financial decision of which one makes most sense. So we like to call it the headache to income ratio. So we like to get the biggest bang for your buck. Would you rather have 10 properties, making 20,000 a month, or would you rather have 100 properties making 20,000 a month, right? Clearly the first option.
Yeah,
totally makes sense. I would rather have, far fewer, tenants in any of my properties. It's less headaches, less people to deal with. You mentioned something about regulations permitting. So I know that there's a lot of rumblings. There's a lot of markets right now that used to be great for STR, like Miami, for example. And I mentioned that earlier in the video. It's getting, you're almost regulated out of there right now, which you would think would be a phenomenal STR space. Same thing with, Lake Tahoe, for example. There's some things happening in Palm Springs, which used to be one of the top markets, that are kind of permitting and regulating people out of that if they're not zoned STR. You guys walk folks through that. They're not playing some guessing game when they're coming on board and trying to go out there and do legal research into an industry that they're just now getting involved in. That's part of the handholding process, correct?
100% right. And this is one of the crucial elements that we walk people through initially as we guide them through our bootcamp training. So there's a few things you want to keep in mind here, because you're exactly right. There are some areas that are becoming, inherently more difficult to do business in, almost to the point where it may not even be possible in certain areas, whereas other areas are starting to introduce regulations. So a couple of things we want to think about as we're going through that. So really, there's multiple levels of what regulation and laws and things can look like. There can be laws, at the state or provincial level that, guide and govern short-term rentals. So for example, where we live in Edmonton, Alberta, the reason why we don't focus a lot on condo type units is because Well, they have a law that
Like
gives
a provincial law.
a provincial law that gives property management companies unilateral power to ban short-term rentals overnight without a
vote, without anything with a board. They can just like wipe it out overnight. So that's very, we try to look at the risk versus reward, and it's a lot of work to set up a short-term rental. And if you could be wiped out overnight, like it's not worth it for us for that.
So that's one element. Then it can come down to the city level, right? So it would be different ordinances, bylaws, different rules that, govern it on a city level. So we want to be aware of what that looks like. It could be, you might only be able to rent a place up to 6 months a year. You might only be able to have a certain amount of people in the property. You might have to have a business license, or you might have to remit taxes to the local taxing authority.
There could be zoning as well, specific, in that city and different zones in it. So it's very important to start breaking these down, and definitely knowing before you, 100% before you buy a property, if you're going to buy in the purpose of an investment property, but also before you set up a property too, because like I said, it is a lot of work to set up a property and just to be shut down the next day. It's just that risk. You really got to balance that out.
One of the things we talk about with this too is that we actually like, if we can find markets where it could just be as simple as a business license and remitting taxes.
Or the zone is actually really good too.
That's actually a really good sign, because one of the things we've learned is that if there's markets, for example, where there may not be specific short-term rental laws, this comes from a colleague of ours, Richard Furtek. He says, just because there may not be laws in place doesn't mean that it's lawful. It just means it hasn't been regulated yet.
Right.
So we learned this ourselves personally. We set up in a market. It was a suburb actually just outside of Edmonton here. And there's
no laws.
There's absolutely no rules governing short-term rentals, because there wasn't that many listings to begin with.
It's a small little town. I think there was 30 Airbnbs, right?
Yeah. So long story short, without getting into all the details, what ended up happening was we were doing really well on this house, but very simple. The neighbors just didn't like the fact that there was a short-term rental in the neighborhood.
People coming in and out. There was no cops ever called, no parties. Like, we were very stringent about this. We go through this in the training, how to vet, how to have cameras, security, everything like that. We were following everything to a book. The neighbors just didn't like that it was a short-term rental. They didn't like the people coming in and out, and different people.
So it ended up going all the way up to city council. Katrina and I actually had to present to that neighborhood city council. Well, not neighborhood, but the city council for the
city.
For the entire.
Do you have a video of that by chance that you can send?
We should be able to find.
I think we do have a recording.
I think there is a recording somewhere.
It's a pretty good presentation.
Although I'll toot our own horn and say we did a pretty phenomenal job in presenting our case on it. We lost.
Yeah,
so
we lost.
it got voted
not that good, I guess.
not good enough to win. So we ended up having to turn that into a month-to-month, and at this point we're no longer managing that property. But what we're saying is just like, yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're doing that research in advance, and we show people methodically how to walk through that, because ultimately, if you're going to be getting into this business, you got to know the rules of what sandbox you're playing in, because you don't want to go through the process of doing all the work, getting the property set up, to then, at the 11th hour, have the rug pulled up for money, and then we're back to square one again.
Especially if you're purchasing a property, like you want to triple check and make 100% sure you're doing that.
Yeah, no, 100%. These are all spot on. And guys, we're always going to encourage folks on the channel to do their own research. We can bring as many resources and experts in a particular subject matter on the channel all day long. We're always going to say, go out and do your own digging. There's tons of research online. The short-term rental space is huge, so there's plenty of articles, plenty of research that you can do, or you can just have not a do it yourself, but you can come to folks who are actual experts, because if you make a simple mistake up front, that domino effect can be very severe, especially like you said, Katrina, if you're out there, buying. So rules and regulations are constantly changing. If you don't know where to look, find out where to look, or lean on experts like this. I'll give you an example. We do a lot in Orlando, Florida. In Orlando, Florida, literally they're building neighborhoods that are just built for STR. Well, the theme parks are there, so there's other markets that are doing the exact opposite, and they're starting to regulate these. So you want to take a look at that. Kind of secondly, Another thing that you want to look at in that kind of analysis up front is going to be, a specific market, not just based on rules, regulations, and permitting, but seasonality, bookability, right? Are there local attractions? Is it, are there two distinct, windows for booking that are going to keep your business consistent throughout the year? Or is there just one and then it's feast or famine? Can you guys kind of speak on that?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you brought that up. And when I said at the beginning, when you're looking at a place, like let the numbers speak for itself. We use tools, different strategies, even just looking on the Airbnb platform itself, on VRBO, looking to see what the competition is charging in those different seasons to give you an idea if it's going to be good year round, right? Especially when we tend to find seasonality the highest in tourism type areas, right? So maybe it's like a beach location. But is there something in winter, right? Do they have ice fishing? Do they have snowmobiling? Like, is there something to combat it, right? So it's just really important to look at all factors, and we definitely take that in. We don't look at it as, yes, we just got a booking the other day for summer in one of a tourism type areas in a mountain town.
Yeah.
It was one of the highest bookings we had. It was at $1,462 a night, which was incredible, right? And it's a condo. It's not a house, but it's in a mountain town, but we don't get those in the winter. But the thing is like, you look at like on a yearly scope and what the costs are to run it, and then does the math make sense?
Yeah, one of the most important questions you want to ask yourself, and it's kind of a lens and a framework that it just really simplifies the whole process when you ask the simple question: is this commercially viable?
Yeah.
Right? Is it commercially viable now? Is it going to be commercially viable during the winter season and during the summer? Like, you want to base all that out and do that analysis up front, because again, especially like if, while we do specialize in teaching people how to simply control other people's properties to generate income, we have a number of students that say, I totally get what you guys are saying, but I really want to buy properties. And that's totally fine. And we can cater to that. But again, there is more risk inherent in actually owning a property, for the simple reason that if something goes wrong, little harder to wiggle out of a mortgage than it is a lease agreement or a partnership agreement, right? The bank's not going to be quite as understanding.
So in our portfolio, we have everything. We have everything from ownership. So we own some of our properties. We do rental arbitrage on a portion of our properties. And we also do the partnership and management of the properties. Correct. So we actually have experience in all different areas. And it's just kind of, not to have the eggs in one basket for us. And it's just to really have that breadth of experience and really what deal makes sense for that situation.
Yeah, I love that diversification. So what you're saying, or what I'm hearing, is that when these folks are kind of under your tent in your camp, any deal that they're really coming across, you guys can work with them on really kind of helping to take that down. So yeah, guys, if you're watching and you want to learn how to make an extra thousands, $10,000s of dollars per month, and we've seen testimonials here on the channel of folks that are making far much more than that in a relatively short window of time. Don't miss this opportunity. Don't kick yourself a year from now, when this opportunity does not exist anymore, and then you're wondering why you never got involved in the STR space as it's continuing to blow up. Obviously, go out there and do your own research. There's tons of online information that you can look at. You can go out there and absolutely try and go it alone. Our recommendation is to always have guidance from experts, which is why we continue to bring these folks back here on the channel. So guys, thanks for joining us here on the VIP Financial Ed YouTube channel, where we talk about all things credit, capital, and cash flow. Michael and Katrina, thanks for joining us here again. And until next time, everyone, take care. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Thanks so much.